And we are going. What is going on with everybody? It is your boy, Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real, raw, rugged. And I have somebody on the other line right now. I'll let him introduce himself. Who do we have here
Hey,
speaking today?
hey, Eric. It's Mike Dennis. I guess best known as the founder of Reelblack TV on your YouTube platform, and at Reelblack on everything else. Reelblack.
Hey, man. I'm glad you're here today, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I mean, considering we had snow a couple days ago, which it's been a pretty mild winter until now. So the last 3 days I've been snowed in and forced to actually work and address reality more so than in other quarantine days. But yeah, just chilling, excited to speak with you.
It's cool, man. I mean, in Florida, there's not even really any quarantining ever happening. There's never any snow happening. It's just like a very different world. I feel like very isolated from the rest of the United States right now. It's moving at its
And
own pace.
and, and we're all paying the price. Thank you, Florida.
Usually, I react when people give Florida slander, but I can't. I can't. It's just like it's really bad down here.
And I
Um,
have to get myself down there pretty soon for sure. But I'm in Delaware right now, so
be safe because
it's
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 it's pretty open here as well. I mean, they're not shutting things down. There's limits to how many people can be in a building, but for the most part, it's for those who want to venture out, they can,
hmm.
and it's fairly safe.
Well, whenever you make your way down here, definitely be safe because there's a lot of people not being safe. Wearing a mask is like not wearing a mask in other cities. Like if you wear a mask down here, people look at you like, "What's wrong with you? Why do you
Oh
have a
wow!
mask on?" So
Or like somehow the sunshine or Disney World is just going to make it disappear. Okay.
something like that, you know.
Hopefully in due time, and hopefully by the time people are really watching this interview, um, it's a lot safer for everybody, and people, and we can kind of, as a nation, reform ourselves.
Hopefully, I hope so. I mean, I hope this nation definitely needs a lot of reforming. I just woke up not too long ago, actually. I overslept, and I found out some pretty crazy news. I found out that I don't even listen to country music like that, but the one country artist I was listening to apparently called somebody a nigger last night. So I was like, goodness gracious, what is
Yeah,
going on? I don't know if you've
saw
seen
that
that. Yeah,
trending on Twitter. So we have to date stamp this. This is February 3rd. Is it Groundhog? I don't even know if you
February
saw it.
3rd. Yeah, Groundhog Day. Yeah.
The day after Groundhog Day. Yeah, 2021, folks. But what is it? What? How can I be of service to you, young God?
That's
Me
funny.
and my old scraggly gray beard and dozens of YouTube followers. What can I share with your public?
Well, I guess I can just start off on how I even found out about who you are and what your channel is. Let's start there, at the beginning. So, I wrote this down so I didn't forget about it because I almost forgot the title. It's a long title. So I was on YouTube, and everybody gets on YouTube, and you get on that side where you get recommended something that you just wasn't even expecting to get recommended. One of those days, I can't remember what I was watching to get recommended this, but the video that started all was I forgot to write the guy's name down, but he was doing the lecture on the countering the conspiracy to destroy black boys.
Okay, Dr. Jawanza Kanjufu. Yes.
Yes, and I watched that, and he was very interesting in the way he spoke to me. He very great speaker. He talks. He just talked really well. So I was like, all right, this is interesting. Is this his channel? So then I checked. See, it wasn't his channel. And I'm just going through all these videos, not watching them at the time, but just looking at the titles and the thumbnails, and I'm like, what? This channel is like really insane. I'm like, this is like this has everything about like blackness. I don't think he left anything out. Like, and I'm like, he's still updating. I'm like, I don't know how he's doing this. Like, he has everything from like the 40s until now. So that blew my mind. And then I wanted to see who channel this was, and this was last year sometime. This is like early last year when I found this out, and I seen more about you, and you were just very interesting to me, man. And you had a lot of content and a lot of things going on with yourself, so I had to talk to you, man. You're just very,
I,
very
I
interesting guy,
appreciate you.
man.
Thank you. I appreciate you reaching out.
For sure.
Thank you.
And I guess we can kind of start with
So yeah, so to clarify, the channel we curate, our mission is to entertain, educate, enlighten, and empower through the magic of film, Black people. So on the channel, you'll see interviews that I've done. Most famous, the 6-hour series we did with Dick Gregory, the late great Baba Dick Gregory, and then it's augmented with things that we've curated from different collections and archives that are around. Basically, is how I'll say it. And so, yeah, one of the challenges I always say is if you go to YouTube and you put in your year of birth and then the word Reelblack and then see what pops up. It's always interesting, because it'll bring back a flood of memories.
that's interesting. I'm gonna definitely do that.
And things that you probably didn't even know existed. So
I'm gonna definitely do that. As soon as I get done with this interview, I'm typing that in and see what happens. And I think it was interesting because as I learned more about you, I learned that you were much more than a YouTube channel. So that's what even blew my mind. Like every time I learn something more about you, I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen in this interview. I'm like, he did that too, or he was doing that too. Like it's probably something I don't even know at this point. And I think the first thing that I seen that was like, huh, is the Chris Rock documentary. So
yeah,
I kind of want to start there and kind of learn like how did that come about? Like how deep in film were you at that time of the Chris Rock documentary, and explain what that was about.
who is Chris Rock? 1989. We actually were doing it around this time in 1989. This is the earliest piece of work that I made that I actually share with people. And it was a class assignment. I was a student at New York University, undergraduate film program, and I was taking a documentary class. And my friend who was in the dorm, he's a comedian now. He was a fledgling comic then, but I knew him as a film student, Judah Friedlander. He said, hey, I'm going to go up to the comic strip, which is a nightclub in New York, and see if I can get on and perform. Do you want to go with me? And I'm like, I love comedy, of course. And as soon as I walk in, the minute I walk in, I look across the room and there's Chris Rock standing there. And I said, wow, that's Chris Rock. And I'd just seen him during the summer break on the Joan Rivers show, which is interesting. I'd say in the last month or two, somebody posted his very first national TV appearance on YouTube, the Joan Rivers appearance. And I'd seen it, and I had seen I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, and I said, wow, this is somebody I would love to make a movie about. And like an electronic press kit kind of style, like a mini documentary. And so I approached him. I walked up to him and said, hey, I'd love to make a movie about you. He said, yeah. And the next thing I know, me and Judah and a guy named Mike Yetter are over in the middle of Brooklyn, someplace where I'd never been before, filming young Chris Rock on his mother's couch. And, so it's the earliest documentary on Chris Rock. It's probably the only film video footage of him at his home at the time when he was still living at home and performing comedy. And when I finally decided to put it on YouTube, which is about 9 years ago, it instantly went viral. So many comedians approach me now. It's like, wow, because it gives them inspiration, because we all have these moments where we have huge dreams and we're still living at home and we're trying to make something of ourselves. And so, every time I'm in New York and I go to the Comedy Cellar, I'm at the comic strip and somebody introduces me as the person who did the Chris Rock documentary, everybody's like, wow, you did that. That's so cool. I watch that all the time, so that's the story behind who is Chris Rock.
All right, so many questions from that. So I guess I'll start from before 8 years ago. The only place that was like being presented at was in your classroom.
No, well, it was stuck in a drawer. There was no. I had it I had a DVD out that I would sell at my events, and when I go to different film festivals. I had like a DVD with all my short films. You should have told me. Oh, that's not it. Looks like it. Got movies everywhere. But it's called the Reelblack Motion Picture Manifesto. So that's kind of a collector's item now, I guess. It has all my early short film work on it, student films and short films that I was doing at the time, like early 2000s. So that you could see it there. And then when YouTube started, I said, let me just put this up and see what happens, you know. And I think it had 7,000 views the first day. An aggregator, like I think Huffington Post or somebody picked up on it. And somebody had re-uploaded it, and they had gotten all these views. And I was getting phone calls. I was like, wow, you know. So, you know, we asked we didn't ask somebody to take it down, but we asked the Huffington Post to migrate the views over to my channel so I could see how many people were watching it. And that's what happened.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And in 1989, obviously I wasn't alive during that time, so
we have time machines. It's
definitely
called YouTube.
So I need you to help me with understanding at that time how popular, how much of a household name was Chris Rock in 1989. Like was it surprising to you that he so easily said yes to this?
Well, no, because I have charisma and charm. No, I'm just joking. I was very introverted at the time, but I was very sincere, and you could see I was trying. You know, I think that came across, and you know, at the time, I mean, we formed a friendship. I drive around in his car. I mean, he when he came to Philly, he had a tape of "Welcome to the Terror Dome" that he was blasting, and I just remember driving up and down South Street with him, listening to Public Enemy, "Welcome to the Terror Dome" for the first time, you know. And, you know, he gave me a lot of great advice and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of blossomed. I mean, he's only 4 years older than me, you know. So I think that's what attracted me to him. Here's somebody my age who is infinitely smarter than me. He's super intelligent. You could tell just from the types of jokes he was writing at that time. You know, so I think that was the attraction of like, who is this? That's why it's called Who is Chris Rock?
Yeah.
You know, how did this guy get to be the way he is? And then you find out, you know, about his childhood being, beat up, being bused to school. His father driving newspaper trucks and always having newspapers in front of him, being really informed, and you know, all these kind of things that, you know, so I guess if the question is, are you surprised that he blew up the way he did? Not really, honestly. I mean, I think by the time, I think it was just a question of when, because Eddie Murphy had kind of picked him out, you know? And I don't know what that is or what that means, you know, but when you're given that kind of opportunity, you're going to do everything not to mess it up, you know. So even though he had a few tries to the plate before he did Bring the Pain, I think there was always this sort of expectation within himself to be at that level, quite frankly, you know. And I think, you know, my introduction to him was through I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Beverly Hills Cop 2, and Joan Rivers Show. So those were great opening ways to discover somebody, you know. But I think for a long time he was sort of a cult item. There were a lot of people who didn't know what to do with him, you know. But he was, you know, one of the things he took Run DMC's approach. Like he does this a lot in his early stand-up. Like he'll pound his fist or he'll drop the mic after he gets off stage and things like that. He really was the first comedian to take a hardcore, like New York hip hop approach to being on stage. And then as you see it evolve into Bring the Pain, he's walking back and forth on the stage like a panther almost, but he's forcing you to pay attention to him. When you move across the stage that way, you don't have time to lock into your own thoughts. You have to pay attention to what's going on up front. So, no, but to answer your question, I mean, he wasn't a nobody, but he was like sort of the first round draft pick kind of deal, like you could see all the potential even in that in that documentary. You could see all the potential.
Well, I can tell you're a filmmaker just by your detail to attention, just to talking about him walk across stage like a panther, and that's like I can tell, like I can see your mind already in documentarian mode at that point. I can see it. That's cool. But yeah, I don't know if I said this or not, but great film. Just to start off with that, I really did enjoy that. You highlighted one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite comedies of all time, which is "I'm Gonna Get You Sucker." I think that's a very hilarious movie, outrageous movie, and yeah. So you put that out in 1989, but it's not like you put it out, publish it to the world, and it's like it's out for sale or anything like that. So even so, you couldn't see the commercial success or anything of that sort, not knowing how people would react to it at that time. Did you still feel like, oh, I might be onto something, or like was that something that like gave you, oh, I could really take this further, or were you already thinking that before, or did that not even occur after the movie was
well,
put out?
my teacher Boris Fruman gave me a B.
Oh man,
I got a B. I was so disappointed because we ran out. I tried to do like we shot with Super 8 film, and we were following him around and stuff. And he gave me a B. He said there are certain things I didn't get inside enough, which I tried to correct when I years later did a longer documentary, like Chris Rock is 10 minutes long. When Jordan Rock, his younger brother, started doing stand-up like 9 years ago, we went out to Brooklyn again and did a movie about him and his rise into the comedy scene in New York. And we if Boris Fruman saw it, hopefully he'd give it an A. He probably still think it sucks, but not that B sucks, but
it's not an A. Yeah,
I tried to redeem myself by doing a movie about his younger brother, which is better crafted. But
so is
time
that?
will tell.
I was about to say, so is that something like after that happened? Did you have any like was it type of like any insecurity about that film? Like, did you like, oh man, like I don't even want to put this out anymore? Or were you still proud about that?
No, I love the film. I think, I don't share things. I mean, there might be some things I don't share that I don't like, or they were just like experiments, but I always say that I've never made a bad movie because each one has been a building block to my next growth, So, and when I choose to make a film, when it's time to tell a story, I put everything that I know and have into that story. Now, whether or not it's Tenet, that's another story. So I don't have the resources or the experience to pull off a mega blockbuster at this point. But as far as story goes, I always work hard to make sure that there's a beginning, middle, and end, and you see a change in the character. So, and that generally works when you want to entertain people.
No, for sure, definitely. Just that whole format for sure definitely is the getter. And I guess fast forwarding from 1989, is there something else in between that makes you think personally, like, oh man, like this is something that like I could make a career? Because you said you were 4 years younger, so you're around like 99. So around that age,
something like that. Yeah, about.
So around 19, around somewhere 2018, something like that. Fast forward into the 90s. Is there a time where you have like a big, I guess, just something that fulfills you, that makes you think, I can definitely fulfill this as a career, this is something that I really want to do? Or did that come before 1989?
Well, Lewis Black has a line where he says, because he got popular much later in life as a stand-up comedian. He says he had to lick every rung of the show business ladder. And I can relate to that because coming out of film school, there was a year where I starved. I literally was skeletal, um, and working on music videos. I worked with Jim Swafield, who did all the Tribe Called Quest videos. I didn't work on any Quest videos, but I worked on a Charles and Eddie video, Would I Lie to You, and MC Search music video, Here It Comes. And he was a great inspiration. He showed me sort of like a guerrilla style, creative, artsy. To me, he's still one of the unsung greats of that 90s music video era, late 80s, early 90s music videos. So I had an opportunity to work with him, and then I was an intern on the Cosby Show, the original Cosby Show, and later worked on You Bet Your Life, the game show that they shot in Philadelphia. But there were a lot of ups and downs. It wasn't a straight shot, and also coming from sort of like a lower middle class background at a time when film was super expensive. Even if I had a great idea for a movie, you still needed to bankroll yourself into it. So when you look at my body of work throughout these past 30 years, it's usually whatever I was able to do with whatever resources and opportunity was available at the time. So if I, so going into film school, after, it's like, who is Chris Rock? I didn't use as my resume piece, but there's another film on the channel called The Hardest Part that stars Seth Gilliam and Ivana Kopach. And that got me into the American Film Institute graduate film program as a directing fellow. So that gave me, that opened a lot of doors. It gave me the opportunity to be in Los Angeles for 2 years and experience that, and also work among some really talented mentors and people each week. Different people would come, veteran filmmakers would come show their work and do like a masterclass seminar, sort of like inside the actor studio is.
Yeah.
We got that as a live experience, Jack Nicholson coming to our class and talking and things like that, So, and Michael Apted, who just passed away, he was one of the people that came and he showed Nell, things like that. So I had a lot of great experiences early on, but then what you discover when you go to a film school like that, while you're there, you're the king. The minute you get that diploma, you're on the ground with everybody else. And if you don't have that next step in mind, you could lose a step or 2 steps or 3 steps, and not having the resources to stay in Los Angeles, I ended up coming back to Philadelphia, which has slowed down my progress in one respect, because I'm not around that many people that are really actively in pursuit of the same dream that I have. But at the same time, the creative community here has been so great that I've been able to do things basically on the strength, just out of love. And, we are the city of brotherly love here, that running a screening series for 17 seasons, basically getting theater space for free to be able to show movies by my friends for 17 years. That was a gift. That was a blessing that I don't think anybody else could have done in any other place but Philly, because if you tried to do that in New York or even Florida, the chances are you're gonna have overhead. People are not going to want to be in a creative partnership with you from dollar one, and then having the opportunity to work with Ava DuVernay for 5 years with her Array Collective was great. Bringing her slate of movies to Philadelphia audiences, introducing her, helping to build her grassroots fan base and foundation that she has, was a great opportunity. But it's all steps along the way. I don't at this point, just so many, working on Beloved, with Oprah Winfrey and Jonathan Demme for a year, that validated what I was taught in film school. I got to be on an actual working film set and be there long enough to befriend the director and be able to ask questions and have him look at my work and give me feedback and things like that. So, you know, every step along the way, there's been encouragement. So, and even talking to you now is encouragement. So I thank you for that.
Hey man, if the boy in the bonnet can give you some encouragement, man, I'm happy to do so, man, because that's coming from a person who I look at is a very, I say interesting, but you have a lot of genius ideas, you have a lot of creative ideas, and that's something as a person who wants to create things I look at, and I give all praises too, because I feel like it's not easy to be creative. It's not easy to be creative for a long time, because we've all seen people be creative for a little bit in their careers, and then it feels like all those juices just kind of ran out, like they kind of just used all the water in their well. But I feel like you still being creative, still keeping relevant in what you're doing. That's something that anybody, even outside of film, I feel like should admire, and something I admire.
Well, I mean, if I were to suggest things to you and your audience, I'd say just try to be around smart people who are doing things, and you know, just be don't be afraid to be yourself. I was very, very introverted and shy, um, to the point of awkwardness for such a long time, and there were people around me that they could see things that I couldn't in myself, and they would make suggestions about how to bring them out. So there was a juncture where, and that's a big word, juncture. There was a moment in time when I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to stay in Philadelphia. I was caring for my grandmother and be able to make movies. So they said, you have a degree, you should teach. And it was like the worst experience of my life, because the kids weren't that into it, and it was just like, I try not to do things strictly for money anymore, but it did force me to learn how to deal with people. And then the flip side of that coin, a couple years later, I had the opportunity for almost 3 years to be a host on WURD radio and talk about film. And that's where I really came out of my shell, because every week I had to come up with topics and try to engage an audience that I couldn't even see for an hour, and be entertaining and try to give people an amplified version of my true self. So, but I think if I had overcome that shyness sooner and been a little more audacious, we'd still be having this conversation, but I might have a feature film or two under my belt by that point. But at this point, that's what I'm doing now, is writing. I'm just working on if I were to do a feature film, what would it look like? How would it be different? Those are the questions I ask myself every day.
Now, I want to get to that, but something I have to ask, because just talking to you, you're a very wordy guy. You're a wordsmith, Reelblack, like that's pretty witty. But you say you were introverted, so I feel like I might know the answer to this. Maybe I don't. But was there ever a time where you were writing
Nerd.
rhymes, rapping, or anything of that sense? Because you're very witty with your words.
No, not at all. No. And I didn't want to do music videos because I love hip hop and I love rap music and all that stuff, but I was not going to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But I did love comedy, I mean, if I had a different demeanor, I probably would have tried stand up, I think my sense of humor is a little weird, but if you see some of the work, you'll see. There's one film in particular that always gets a laugh, and it's like 20 years old. I can't put it on YouTube, but I'll send you a link or something. It's called Foot Rub, and even though we made it before you were born, it always gets a response out of people. So it's about a guy who believes that if he can just give his girlfriend a foot massage, he'll win her back, and all the different hoops that he goes through to get to it. So it's a bugged out movie. So
I could see you doing the comedy thing because I feel like in a lot of your films and a lot of things, I feel like you find I could be wrong, tell me if I am, but I feel like you find interest in like absurdity almost sometimes. Like things that like the foot, like even that concept of foot rub, like I can get my girlfriend back if I like the concept of absurdity and you
well, it's a metaphor for some other type of behavior, but
don't
but
spoil it because I do
feet
want
are
to see
always
it.
funny.
Yeah,
Feet are funny.
for sure.
Feet, hard consonants are funny. There are just certain things that always work in comedy. So
No, for sure. I mean, it's something like I've
feet
been
and farts.
feats and farts. The two F's are always definitely funny. And I was gonna say I feel like I've been watching a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin Wilmot.
Yes, yes. We have a 1 hour interview with him on the channel. I love Kevin, Oscar winner,
Really?
Kevin Wilmot. Yeah,
I interviewed Kevin last year, so that was pretty cool. And
brilliant guy.
very, very, very bright and funny dude. And I look at his film sometimes, and he finds absurdity. So just those, and I know he's into comedy. So when I think of you and I think of absurdity in him, I could see that all meshing together, and I could see you in a parallel universe, definitely being some stand up Chris Rock type guy.
Yeah, well, he's thank you. He's Kevin is Spike Lee's co-writer
Yeah.
on Black Klansman. For those who don't know, and he did a movie called Confederate States of America, which is too dry. I think it's a satire of what if the Confederacy had won, and it has all these fake commercials that are just they cut so close to the bone. It's like, is this supposed to be funny? Because it's really making me cry. This racism is painful, but he's super smart. I mean, so just for you to mention my name along with his is flattering. So
For sure, for sure. CSA Consider Face America is definitely one of the most brilliant movies. And I guess kind of because it's funny, I found that movie on accident. Was it on YouTube? I can't remember, but I feel like it was a very similar way I found your YouTube channel and kind
it
of
wasn't
like
on my channel, Kevin. I'm not stealing from Kevin.
definitely no, it wasn't on Reelblack. It wasn't on Reelblack.
Yeah, don't. I mean, we do some things, but
Not that.
I need Kevin call me.
No. It wasn't
He
on
hit me
Reelblack.
upside the head with his Oscar, walking out of my apartment, and then he get clocked with his freaking Academy Award. How dare you
No,
taking
Kevin.
food out of my baby's mouth?
It was not on Reelblack, but I feel like I found it in a very similar way where I wasn't looking for it. So I guess kind of fast forwarding until like when did you think before even Reelblack, when did you realize like the internet could definitely like I guess enhance and kind of broaden people's view of you and kind of broadcast your stuff to the world?
I didn't. I still don't. I don't have a perception that way.
Mm.
I mean, I know we're fast approaching 1 million subscribers, and what that means to me is that people are getting smarter. Because I just refuse to be in a world surrounded by a bunch of ignorant people. Like, so if I can claim my tribe, I want them to be smart. I want them to feel empowered. And I think we do that through film and storytelling and images and mythology. And it's up to us to create our own mythology because white folks are not going to do that for us. So, I feel a great pride and whatever the risk is in terms of this copyright situation that we're in right now, where we're not able to put new videos up or we may lose the whole channel, whatever it's been a good ride in the sense that I know we've affected millions of people in terms of the way they see the world. And that's all I can stake claim to. And I give the majority of the credit, the enlightenment that I got from Dick Gregory, because that was the turning point for the channel. He was the first person where we literally interviewed him for like 2 hours straight. And we were expecting to interview him for like 15 minutes. And we ended up getting 2 hours of footage with him. And I literally sat on it for 8 months. I was like, I don't know what to do with this. If I edit it, it's going to be unfair, And then I said, well, let me serialize it. So I would put 10 minutes up, 15 minutes up at a time of what he was saying. And that was the trigger for everything. It was the very first time we did that on the channel, like create serialized content where it's sort of, oh, if you like that, come back on Tuesday for part 2. Right. So that started to trigger people subscribing. And then that built us into the algorithm, because now people are sharing that information and they're waiting for the next piece, and we thought that when Bob and Dick transitioned, it was going to end. But, there's some weird dynamic there where him just going off in his old age yelling at me and I'm scared to death is almost like people watch it like they watch reruns of the Jeffersons or Sanford and Son or something. It's like, you big dummy, don't you know, Michael Jackson was killed by a laser at 2:00. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. Now you know, nigga. So shout out to Bob Dick. But so that was the first time that we serialized content and put it in long form. And that's what triggered the whole viral sensation thing. And then the next pattern was, now that we know to put things up regularly, what is it that speaks to our audience? And that's when we started digging in the archive. I used to work in a video store, for over 20 years. So I have a very deep knowledge of, obscurities, hard to find movies and things like that. And so does my podcast partner, Charles, so we started taking things from our collections that we felt were otherwise impossible to find, and started to share them on the channel. And that's helped us grow immensely, especially through the COVID and the George Floyd. A lot of people never saw video of Malcolm X in color, so we have some of that up, him speaking, or James Baldwin, or some of the people whose voices in the past still resonate, so again, entertain, educate, enlighten, empower.
That's crazy, and I wanna touch on that, but I want to retract something. The first video I've ever seen on your channel was the Dick Gregory interview. Now that I think about it, because I remember watching this before I subscribed though. This is like when it probably first uploaded. It was a very long time ago. I remember watching it, and I remember thinking if I was doing this interview, I don't know how I react to this. He was going in sometimes, and I was like, man, I wouldn't know if to be offended or just say yes, sir. I wouldn't know what to do. What were you thinking during those times?
It was traumatizing until the first check came. Then I was like, but I still didn't, we would have done another one just to talk about health.
Yeah. Because
I think that was his other thing. But a trilogy was what I was hoping we could get out of it. So it's truth, wisdom, and understanding were the headers for those interviews. But people still to this day wonder what he would be saying about all the stuff that's going on now, and I'm sure he would have more than enough. I mean, he would, he'd be Saint Dick. He would, if Dick Gregory was alive today with his theories and the way he thought and everything he knows, he would be the king of everything right now, because his insight forces you to think. It triggers parts of your brain that you're not used to using, So, but no, it was frightening. It was traumatizing, and I looked at it as like a job. I said, it's not like, there's a responsibility to get the story, So if he's going to yell and you're not really sure why he picked that moment to yell when he could have yelled at any other 15 other things, you just take it, deal with it, and then because my job was to be the conduit to share that information with people, like it is with everything that's on the channel. There's a difference between information and content and entertainment, so I think information should be free.
Can you please break the information versus content? I've never heard that before.
Well, there's things that are just there to fill gaps. So content is, if you're a content creator, it's different than your intention being to be informative. like what I feel the channel is information, right? So I freely share it. I want you to use it. Content maybe is a little more proprietary, and then entertainment, there's no other intention but to give people a fun use of their time, to distract them from their day.
Yeah.
You know, and so and then I think there should be a premium placed on entertainment. I think entertainment should be sold at the highest possible going rate. So like if you said suddenly, if we're talking, we have a conversation, that's information, that's content, freely share it. But if it's suddenly like, Mike, I want you to start singing, it's like, okay, well, that's how much of the ticket's going to be. And I'm going to need wardrobe,
Yeah.
to give you the best possible performance. It has to cost money for me to give you entertainment that is at the level that you're accustomed to paying for. Even if you get it for free, it should feel like you have a value to it. It's worth more than your time. It's like, wow, I wish I could do that. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, man. It's a lot of information on Reelblack, but I also feel like it's a lot of entertainment on there as well. Like I'm entertained watching. I'm informed watching. I'm everything watching stuff on that channel. And I feel like you do a good job at curating and picking what's going to be on there, probably filtering what's not going to be on there. It's a great job you do on that, man.
That's the most fun part. Is like you start. When we're on a roll. Like right now, we're sort of like in limbo, but you program, like you hit hard, like, all right, Monday, Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Tuesday, Malcolm X, Wednesday, Claude Anderson, and then you put Gary Coleman, or you put like, 2 Live Crew, it's like, wait, hang on. Wait.
You will throw something out. I'm like, what? When the Malcolm X, the 2 Live Crew?
3-6 Mafia. What? Wait, stop. What are you doing?
It's like,
yeah, but it's black, but what it does, it locks people into the algorithm that ordinarily wouldn't be paying attention to Malcolm X, and then other people do it for you. You're like, there's one Malcolm X video interview at Berkeley, and some rapper, I wish I could remember the name, sampled part of it. So now all of a sudden, just out of the blue, one day there might be 10,000 new views just on that one video because some other person referenced it. And now they're locked into the algorithm. Now the recommendations start showing up on the side of the page, and now that's why I take the pride. It's like, okay, well, you got to be figuring something out if you're watching all these videos, even if it's, I didn't know Gary Coleman was that short. You're learning something other than regurgitating and recycling the same stuff that you're used to watching on Instagram, or I don't discourage or disparage people's tastes, but we all tend to, when we're not seeking, repeat the same comfort foods in our brains, so whatever it is that you like, you tend to watch it over and over again, and the algorithms are designed to keep giving you the same type of thing. So we just want to reel people in to the logarithm of, entertain, educate, enlighten, and empower. So
that's what I'm saying. See, you're witty on accident. You've used real 3 times in 3 different ways, man. Like real with the like. That's...
Yeah, because I'm a latent rapper. I gotta.
You are, man. You are.
And can you rhyme real with real? I don't know.
I think you can. You can get away with that. If it means 2 different things, you can get away with that.
So is it a metaphor or a simile? I don't know. I probably got a B in that class.
Hey, what you don't have a B in, I'm going to say it right now. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think you have the best YouTube channel. I don't think there's any YouTube channel that's touching.
I'm going to put that on the website. Eric, for real, I think you have you have to say you have the best YouTube channel. I think you have.
You definitely have the best YouTube channel.
There you go. All right, quote, and Eric with the bonnet said it, so it must be true.
That's hilarious. I don't want to keep it for too long, man. But there's two things I do want to end off with, and it is the you kind of touched on it, the whole I guess copyright situation because I see there's not being a lot uploaded. Can you please explain? Because I seen you made a video about it, but I still was kind of confused.
Yeah, I mean, I'm frustrated at this point. I don't know what I did to piss the gods off, but
Mm.
basically, we're allowed. Anyone is allowed, not just me, but to upload videos to YouTube with the understanding that if it violates someone's copyright, they have the right to issue a takedown strike.
Yeah.
And if you get three, now where the gray area is, the corporations have what they call content ID, right? So if you were to take a video and it belonged to them, they could block it before it even uploads, or they can say it's okay that this video is up, but we want all the revenue from the advertising that comes from the viewership, right? So that gives us somewhat of a safe space to program things, especially, and I do my best due diligence in terms of identifying things that I think are safe on the channel. So we're talking about things that are not available anywhere else for purchase. We're not trying to compete with anyone. Things that are out of circulation. I don't generally, I'd say 90% of the time it's originally sourced. So I have the original tape that I'm uploading. If it's something where I'm making it 100% my original content, like I'm seeking out someone to interview and I'm doing it, so that within my own sense of ethics works. But we're still playing by YouTube's rule, and what their rule is if you accumulate 3 copyright strikes. So this is corporations can issue content ID notices and just monetize off of your content. If you're like, let's say you made a film in 1989 and all of a sudden Mike puts it up and you're like, oh, wait, where'd that come from? I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
You only have 2 options. One is to contact me directly and ask me to take it down, or contact YouTube and tell them take it down, right? So that's what we're fighting right now. And what I didn't realize, normally a copyright strike, after 90 days it expires and then it resets your window. But what I didn't know, and I don't know if this is a new thing or if it was always there, if you have 3 strikes simultaneously, they never expire.
Yeah, that's an old thing.
It's older, so they never expire. And so we're stuck where we can't upload any new videos until or unless we get one of those 3 strikes to retract it and allow for a voluntary deletion. So that's what we've been waiting for about 2 months for this one person to do. And it's tricky because the person who issued the strike no longer works for the company that owns the material, right? So the problem is, for the retraction to take hold, it has to be sent from the email address that issued the takedown notice, right? Or initiated the takedown notice.
Yeah.
And nobody at the company seems to be able to do that. So we're stuck in limbo as we speak. My belief is that it's going to fix itself. I'm not sure what the recourse is otherwise, but there is a strong possibility at some point, even if it's not this time, that all of these videos will go away. Based thousands of videos because of 1 or 2 mistakes. So, like I said, it's I'm just trying to grab onto that next monkey bar before I can let go of this last one, But in a perfect world, Reelblack's TV stays forever and gets millions and millions of subscribers and helps the world get smarter. But if it doesn't, I knew going in what the risks were, and it would just be disappointing for our viewers not to have access to this material because it would be virtually impossible. You're talking the, between me and Charles, it's 9 decades of study and research and collecting that's gone into putting the collection together. So we want to be able to continue, but, I think if everybody, not just corporations, had access to being able to monetize their videos, there'd be fewer takedown notices. But that's just me. That's my perspective.
Shoot, man, I really hope that, like you said, with God willing, we could definitely keep that channel forever, because it's enlightened me on it's enlightened me on a lot of things, and I feel like it can enlighten way more people on way more topics that they might not be privy to. Because while I might be privy to a Malcolm X, somebody might not, maybe a younger person or even an older person, I just never got into that ideology that he speaks.
Or just reminders. I mean,
that too.
That's the bigger thing, is that so much when talking about Black people, people of color, people who have been oppressed, or groups have been marginalized, disenfranchised. We're taught immediate gratification. We're taught to be consumers. We're not taught always to be thinkers. So what's great about YouTube and all of the internet is that if you have any level of curiosity, you can pretty much find the answer that you're looking for and then some. So I think we should all be documenting one another. How cool. I mean, we're talking now. What does this piece of video have in value 10 years from now? When we're both further along on our journeys. And just to be able to record that and look back, not just for ourselves, what were we thinking, what were we saying, as a journal, but just like the Who is Chris Rock? What does it say to the world? So. And, I have strong belief that because I have the gift, so many people that I've rubbed shoulders with have gone on to great fame and acclaim. I believe that you're one of those people.
I appreciate that.
I believe it, just give it time, and, so I think it's great that we have this capacity, but, and that it's global. That the whole world has access and opportunity to discover things about themselves that they otherwise would have been buried. Or maybe that information would have taken longer to spread. Like now with TikTok, everybody is doing the same dance, where, like, culturally in 1989, if somebody invented a dance down in Florida, it would take 4 months for that record and that dance to make it up to New York City or LA. And then by the 90s, all you had to do was put it in a music video and everybody's doing the same dance. But you had to wait until Yum TV Raps came on Saturday. Now you just hit a TikTok with the right person. You get Shaq to do the June bug, and now everybody is out doing June bug challenges, So that's how fast, it's like instantaneous information can spread. So, I'm just grateful that we're in this space where we can do it. My belief is that it's going to correct itself and that we're going to continue. I really want that 1 million subscriber plaque YouTube. I'm not going to kill my mama for it, but we're on our way to getting it. I want to see that happen, and I want to see the brand itself continue to mean something for even more people, like amplify what the brand means through other types of media and other types of like currency meaning like Charles Wood's book or a feature film by me or things like that, things that delineate what we were talking about before, information versus entertainment. We want to put some currency behind what the brand stands for.
Well, I just want to say before I get to this last point, I want to thank you for your nice words. Yeah, that's very polite of you. Very, very nice. You didn't have to say that. I feel like you're
agreements. You gotta say it. You gotta believe. But I'm sincere about it too.
Of course. And you're such a, like I said, you're such a smart guy. Like the way you think, and I really admire the way you think. I look at the internet the very similar way in the way that it's brought everything together, because back in the 90s, like when you were in New York and Philly, that slang would probably stay there. But now everybody uses Florida slang, New York slang, this, and it's so crazy to me because when you bring up the Junebug challenge, the guy who made that song, I went to high school with him. So
Wow.
so now to see him be like global, it's like, yeah, you were just like in Jacksonville, Florida, like it's crazy. So yeah, man, it's wild, man.
That's what they mean when they say the world is flat. I don't think they mean it literally. I hope not, because you know that's backward thinking. But I think the way we're about to go into hyperspace.
Mm,
I hope people realize that. I hope people realize we're about to reach another level of enlightenment where we're about to go into hyperspace. Like time travel is not too far from us. I think in the mental sense. Don't waste your time building machines to move your physical form. That's a waste. We're at the speed of thought, and technology's right there with us. So it's gonna be fun.
I can't wait. And I guess to close this out, there's been a lot of feature films coming out about Black historical figures. I know one's coming out this month, if I'm not mistaken. What is it? The Judas and the Black Messiah. Um, I've
That's-
I've interviewed quite a few times two of the people that are writing on that movie, the Lucas Bros. Shout out to the Lucas Bros. Very very
Okay.
funny guys, and I don't. They're comedians, so I'm very interested to see how they take a very serious movie like this. And I kind of come to ask you any thoughts. Like, are you interested to see that movie? And as well, what is your favorite movie depicting historical Black figure?
Interesting questions. Well, I mean, I can't criticize a movie I haven't seen yet, and I missed the Sundance stream of it, so I have to wait like everybody else. I'm a big Shaka King fan. I'm excited for him. I like Daniel Kaluuya. I'm not going to get into the ADOS thing. It's just the way things are right now. British actors tend to play Black American historical figures. I have no power control over that.
Yeah,
But it is an interesting pattern that should should be addressed by
yeah.
by certain people. I'm not gonna. The proof is in the pudding. If the movie works, the movie works. Um, Favorite. Hmm. Hmm. Historical figure can't be fictionalized. Um, we were just talking about James Earl Jones in The Great White Hope, but he plays Jack Jeffers, not Jack Johnson or something like that. So that doesn't count. Um, mm, I can't get too irreverent. I don't I don't know. Well, the most obvious is gonna be Denzel as Malcolm X. For my generation, I'll give it to Denzel all day.
Mm.
And Denzel as Malcolm X is my favorite.
That would be mine. So that's a great pick. That's a great
Okay,
pick.
you already knew the answer.
I already knew it.
I have to think hard. Who? Yeah. And King Dick is in the King Dick. That was good. This movie's on the channel. I forget the name of it. But he's playing a Haitian revolutionary, William Marshall. Very dynamic role. But yeah. I mean, how many good ones do we get? That would be my question. How many? You got to narrow it down first. How many good? Like Nina Simone? No. Miles Davis? No. Jimi Hendrix? No. So, Ray. Well, that's a historical figure, right?
Yeah, Ray was a good one.
I'll still give it to Denzel. Ray was good though.
For sure, for sure. I maybe would throw Ali in there. Ali was pretty decent.
Nah,
Nah.
not even when Ali played Ali.
That's hilarious. Man.
There's nothing. There's nothing. I like Will Smith. I do.
But
I
not
like
that
him,
one.
but nah.
Okay, for sure.
It was too You have to. It can't just be a straight imitation.
Mm.
There has to be some weight behind it. And what I feel like that Ali movie did, both versions of it. There's like a long version, a longer version of it. They basically created scenarios for Will to operate in,
Mm.
but it didn't really carry a story.
Okay.
You know, and Ali's not the most difficult impression.
Yeah.
You know, you can see One Night in Miami.
I was just gonna
Not the
bring that up.
most difficult,
Yeah.
not the most difficult impression. So I can't give Will Ali not for that one. But he's done some good work.
For sure, for sure. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming through and talking with us. If you have any last words to the people watching, let it be known.
They black. Assuming you're black watching, it could be anybody. You could be Martian for all I know watching this video. But just try to stay informed and entertained. Like balance your intake. Don't get too serious. Don't get too crazy. You know, pay attention and hopefully, if you like what you see, tell people about the channel and share the information with folks. So everything helps us to get to the next level, whatever that is going to be. So, and I thank you.
Of course, for everybody watching right now, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, I say what I mean what I say. Haters are gonna hate, players are gonna play, and you guys holler at your boy.